the steward has a plan. Better times lie ahead.
Welcome back. Today, we're diving into the icy, unforgiving world of Frostpunk 2, a game that doesn't just ask you to survive, but to lead a broken society into the future. If you thought the first Frostpunk was brutal, trust me, the sequel cranks up the intensity. Gone are the days of simply managing heat and food. Now, you're balancing entire factions, making impossible moral decisions, and shaping the very fabric of your city's future. So, is it worth the stress? Stick around, because this game is going to test every bit of your strategy and your humanity. If you're familiar with the original game, you know it was a brutal experience, demanding your every decision be weighed with the gravity of a cold, unforgiving world. Frostpunk 2 takes that grim foundation and expands it into a much grander scale, pushing us to navigate not just survival, but societal evolution. The original Frostpunk had you managing a small city around a generator in a bleak frozen wasteland. You were the captain, and every choice was about keeping the heat on and the people fed. It was intense, and it could get overwhelmingly dark. Fast forward 30 years, and the authoritarian captain has kicked the bucket. Now, it's up to us to lead New London into a new era. Sounds intriguing, right? The sequel builds on this premise but expands it significantly. Instead of focusing on the minutiae of individual buildings and their heat levels, Frostpunk 2 shifts towards a more macro level of city management. Gone are the days of micromanaging each building's temperature. Now, you'll be laying down entire districts with a click, managing a city on a larger scale, and juggling a complex supply and demand economy. One of the most noticeable changes is the shift away from heat management. While the original game made you obsess over the generator, this time around, you're more focused on balancing various resources like heat, materials, and food through district management. It's less about the nitty-gritty of the generator and more about ensuring your city's needs are met on a broader scale. Another significant addition is the expanded exploration and resource management. The Frostlands are still there, and exploration remains a core mechanic. You'll send out teams into the wilderness to uncover markers, scavenge resources, and even discover new settlements. These settlements can provide a steady influx of resources, which is crucial for keeping your city thriving. Now, let's talk about the new political dynamics. The technology tree from the first game has evolved into an idea tree, and this ties into the new faction system. Early in the game, you'll establish a council hall, basically a parliament. New London is now a hub of various factions, each with its own interests and beliefs. Unlike before, you can't just unilaterally pass laws. Everything goes through the council, and factions will vote based on their agendas. The faction system is a game changer. Every decision you make will affect your standing with different factions. For example, if you push for community-oriented policies, you'll win favor with those who support them. Conversely, if you lean towards more traditional methods, you might find yourself at odds with others. The game dynamically reacts to your policies, with extremist factions emerging in response to your decisions. It's a constant balancing act between appeasing various groups and managing the fallout of your actions. The idea tree is integral here. Different factions will propose different solutions to societal problems. For instance, one faction might advocate for communal child-rearing, while another sticks to traditional family structures, or one might push for subsidized housing, while another suggests denser housing blocks. The way you handle these ideas will impact your relationships with the factions and the direction of your society. Now, I've got to say, this political maneuvering might not be for everyone, but for me, it adds a layer of depth that makes the game even more engaging. The original Frostpunk had political undertones, but the sequel really leans into it, offering a complex and nuanced look at governance and morality. Events in the game will continue to pop up in response to your actions or inactions. For example, combining risky mining practices with child labor could force you to choose between letting kids die or losing access to crucial resources. On the flip side, combining policies effectively can enhance productivity and streamline resource management. If you're like me and love exploring different strategies, Frostpunk 2 offers a lot of replay value. There's something incredibly satisfying about experimenting with different policies and seeing how they impact your city over multiple playthroughs. The game's emphasis on unforeseen consequences means that no two playthroughs will be the same. Frostpunk 2 is a hefty sequel that builds on its predecessor's strengths, while adding new layers of complexity. It retains the compelling, grim atmosphere of the original, but explores new dimensions of societal management and political strategy. I got to play the pre-release copy of Frostpunk 2 and played it for more than 25 hours. During my time, I saw multiple scenarios unfold in the story mode, where sometimes you completely abandon Winterhome and search for other ideas for survival, and in others you try to take the resources from Winterhome or clear toxins from the place to make it inhabitable. I could never win against the whiteouts in any of the scenarios I played in Frostpunk 2. The game feels harder than the original title, and I believe this could potentially frustrate a lot of players, especially the newcomers. Returning players may love the extra challenge in Frostpunk 2, but then again I played the original title on Survivor mode, the hardest difficulty, and still managed to complete it. For some reason, the difficult spike in the sequel is tough to handle, and that is the only downside I have found in the game so far. As a player coming from the original Frostpunk, I had a soft corner for Frostpunk 2, and I knew in my instincts that 11-bit studios would deliver another successful game. I am 100% satisfied with the level of effort, energy, and love the studio has put into making this game. Frostpunk 2 is easily one of the best simulation and strategy genre video games that stands at a 9 out of 10 score for me. This was my review for the Frostpunk 2, and I believe you get the complete picture now and understand at some level what to expect from the game.